Go.
So this is the skill for NG tube feeding. To start off with your skill, you're going to need the tube feed. You're going to need tap water or sterile water, depending on the order or facility policy. I have a graduate to use for measurement, another graduate to use for holding stomach content, and a couple cups if I want to set up my pre and post flushes before and after the tube feeding. I also have the piston syringe and I have some gloves. Also have a towel to be used at the patient's bedside to keep everything clean and dry. So to start with the skill, I'm going to put on clean gloves. I'm going to make sure the head of the bed is at least 30 degrees, which it is at 45 right now. Just get my gloves on. I'm going to verify the NG tube placement. So before I aspirate, I'm going to check to make sure this matches what's in their chart. 60, 55, each one of these marks is 1, so 54, 53, 52. It's about 51 centimeters at the left nair. And I want to make sure that matches the chart from when they inserted it. Next, I'm going to disconnect this while holding this crimped. Make sure nothing leaks out. Put my piston syringe in. I'm going to aspirate for placement and residual. So I'm drawing back. Has some fluid. Use our imagination. Think that looks like tan tube feeding, stomach content. And I have about 3 or 4 milliliters. I'm going to push that back in because I got bubbles after that. That's all that's in there. I'm going to crimp it, disconnect, and plug it back up. Okay. I want to make sure I keep my towel there, which I should have from the very beginning, in case anything drips. Now I'm going to come over here and measure my tube feed and my flushes. So my tube feed ordered was Jevity 1.2 cal, and let's say the doctor's orders for 50 milliliters. Just so we can fit it in the stomach of this mannequin. Normally you'd see about 240 or 1 can for your patient. Now for the flushes, they could range anywhere from 30 to 60 to 100, possibly even more. But we want to set up our flushes with maybe 30 at most for this mannequin, so we don't overflow the stomach. So since it's a smaller amount, I'm going to measure with the piston syringe. So now what I have for my setup is my flush before I do anything, my tube feed, and my flush after the tube feed. So the line stays clean, open, and patent. I will pop the piston out of the syringe. Make sure this is clamped whenever opening so nothing leaks out. Connect to the patient. I'm going to reach for my first flush and pour in. Now as I release and open, if I raise it up, it'll run faster. If I lower it, it'll run slower. This will bolus feed into your patient. And then I will hold my flush, or my tube feeding, so I'm ready to go. So as it's running down, before it empties and hits air, you want to make sure you pour in your tube feed. While that's going, I'm going to reach back to grab my next flush, the post flush, or post feed flush. You never want to fill it all the way because you don't want any pressure or coughing or repositioning of the patient to cause it to come back up out through through the syringe. So make sure you're holding it and not filling it up all the way. And as it's about to run up, before it hits air again, you want to make sure you pour your flush in. As the fluid exits, before you get a whole bunch of air going through the tube, make sure the syringe is empty and then clamp it off. Disconnect from your patient. Recap it. And clean up your supplies.